Hello, welcome to CUT UG coaching for political science. So we are continuing the seventh chapter, regional aspirations. In today's class, we are going to see about Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab, and then followed by northeast, what happened in Sikkim, and what about Dravidian movement in the Tamil Nadu. All those things we will see in the next class. In today's class, we are mainly focusing on Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab. What happened? Okay. So you see, Jammu and Kashmir had a special status under Article 370 of the Indian Constitution. There are so many other countries as well, other states as well, who have been given the status, the special status. And here you see Jammu and Kashmir Article 370. However, in spite of it, Jammu and Kashmir experienced violence, cross-border terrorism, and political instability with internal and external ramifications. It also resulted in the loss of many lives, including that of the innocent civilians, security personnel, and militants. Besides, there was a large scale displacement of Kashmiri Pandits as well from the Kashmiri Valley. So Jammu and Kashmir we can divide into three regions. To understand it better, first we need to know the geography of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so there is a Jammu, there is a Kashmiri Valley, and there is Ladakh. What about the Jammu Kashmir region? It is the Jammu Kashmir region. Basically, Jammu region is a mix of foothills and plains. There is both foothills as well as plains are there, and predominantly they are inhabited by Hindus, and most there will Muslims, Sikh, and other people also there. What about Kashmir region? The Kashmir region, mainly it is of the Kashmiri Valley, and it is inhabited mostly by the Kashmiri Muslims, with the remaining being Hindus, Sikhs, and Buddhist others. Okay, so there is a domination of one category of people in all these regions. Jammu region is dominated by Hindus, Kashmir region is dominated by Muslims, and what about Ladakh? Ladakh region is mainly mountainous and it has very less population, and if you see equally it is divided between Buddhist and Muslims. So these are the three regions in Jammu Kashmir. Today we don't have Jammu Kashmir as one state. We have basically two union territories. Jammu Kashmir, basically you see in this map, it is a one union territory with a legislature, and Ladakh is a union territory without a legislature. Okay, so this is the recent map. So you can see here. Okay, so this is what our map looks like. What are the roots of the problem? We know that there were princely states, 565 princely states in India, and a role played by Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel in making these princely states annexed with India. So there were so many 565 princely states, out of which three princely states had an issue. Number one is Kashmir. Jammu Kashmir, basically it was a princely state. We had already seen about Hyderabad. It was a princely state, and also about Junagadh. So here Jammu Kashmir, it was the princely state. Its Raja, who was the Raja of Jammu Kashmir, this question come for the CUT exam, is Maharaja Hari Singh. The interesting thing is about Jammu Kashmir has a predominantly Muslim population, but the Raja was a Hindu. Okay, so Maharaja, he did not want to join any of the countries, neither India nor Pakistan. That was his stand. Okay, but what happened was there was a from Pakistan side there was a tribal invasion during that time, and Maharaja Hari Singh wanted India's help to stop them, and we said, if you want help from India, us, then you have to sign the instrument of accession. So Maharaja Hari Singh signed the instrument of accession, and we sent our army as well. So likewise, Jammu Kashmir was annexed with India. Okay, the Pakistani leaders thought that the Kashmiri, being it is belong to Pakistan, they thought, because of the majority of Muslims living there. Okay, so but that was not the case about the Kashmiris. The Kashmir have the regional aspirations, as we see, like there was a regional aspiration for Telugu speaking people. They wanted Andhra Pradesh. There was a regional aspiration for Tamil peoples. Likewise, the Kashmiris also had a regional aspiration. They call it as a Kashmiriyat. Okay, so it is not an issue about Hindu Muslims, it is the issue about regional aspiration. We need to understand that. The popular movement in the state led by Sheikh Abdullah of the National Conference wanted to get rid of Maharaja but was against joining Pakistan as well. Okay, so you see the main party of Jammu Kashmir was National Conference. Even today it is there. Okay, so Sheikh Abdullah was the political leader at the time during the partition as well. Okay, so he did not want to join Pakistan. Okay, so National Conference was a secular organization and had a long association with Congress. Sheikh Abdullah was a personal friend of some of the leading nationalist leaders, including Nehru. So after Sheikh Abdullah, there was Farooq Abdullah, and today there is Farooq Abdullah is also present today, and likewise his son Umar Abdullah is the current Chief Minister of Jammu Kashmir Union Territory. So in October 1947, Pakistan sent tribal infiltrators, as I told you. So the Maharaja asked for Indian military help. So India extended a military help, and the Kashmir signed an instrument of accession with government of India. However, as Pakistan continued to control a sizable part of the state, that issue was taken to the United Nations organization. This is a very peculiar issue. Okay, even after the instrument of accession, the Pakistani army did not went back. Okay, it stood there itself. So what about UN resolution dated 21 April 1948? Firstly, the Pakistan, it said there are three things. Number one, it said Pakistan had to withdraw its entire nationalities, okay, who entered Kashmir. They wanted all these tribal peoples, whoever entered, and all the military to be taken back. Secondly, it said India need to progressively reduce its forces to maintain law and order. India needs to progressively reduce its forces. And thirdly, a plebiscite had to be conducted according to UN resolution dated 21st April 1948. However, no progress was done in this regard. Okay, first of all, the Pakistan did not withdraw its entire nationalities, hence there could not be any plebiscite happening there. So the head of the government in the state was then called a prime minister. So while you see, India gave a provisional autonomy under Article 370 for the Jammu Kashmir region. So, but the interesting thing was that when other states, the head of the government, we call it as chief minister, the head of the government in the state of Jammu Kashmir was called as the prime minister. Okay, slowly then you can see the history now, like the name also, all these nomenclatures they changed in the next coming years. So there was external and internal disputes were there regarding Jammu Kashmir. Number one is that externally Pakistan has always claimed that the Kashmir Valley should be part of Pakistan. As we noted above, Pakistan sponsored a tribal invasion of the state in 1947, as a consequence of which one part of the state came under Pakistani control. Hence we call it as a Pakistan occupied Jammu and Kashmir. However, it is the Indian territory which is under illegal occupation of Pakistan. Ever since 1947, Kashmir has remained a major issue of conflict between India and Pakistan. So this is how the Kashmiri issue becomes which has an external dispute as well. Okay, so basically the people, what they want, the Kashmiri people want regional aspirations. They have the regional aspirations, as some other states. We know that there was a regional aspirations in Telangana, regional aspiration in Telugu speaking people. Andhra was created. Similarly, we had a regional aspiration in Tamil Nadu and other states as well, Punjab, Maharashtra and all. So but here there is an involvement of a foreign country, so that is why it has a external dispute as well here. So internally there is a dispute about the status of Kashmir within Indian Union. I am here explaining you about two types of disputes which is happening. One is external, another one is internal. External, I said about Pakistan's involvement. So internally, you see, Article 370 gave special status and had provoked two opposite reactions in India. One reaction is that people think that this Article 370 has given a special status which had made Jammu Kashmir did not join India completely. Okay, so they want to remove this Article 370. That is one section of the people. Okay, they did not want Article 370 to be there because it did not allow full integration of the state with India. And then they want Article 370 to be revoked. So okay, so this is one aspiration of the people outside the Kashmir. What about another section? Mostly Kashmiris believe that the autonomy conferred by Article 370 is not enough. They had at least three major grievances. Firstly, they say, the promise for accession would be referred to the people of the state after the situation created by the tribal invasion was normalized, has not been fulfilled. So they demand for plebiscite. So I am telling you about the internal dispute where one section of the people, mostly outside Kashmir, they ask for the revocation of Article 370, whereas what is happening within Kashmir, the Kashmiris have three grievances. Firstly, they say plebiscite did not happen, which the UN resolution told. And secondly, they say there was a feeling that the special federal status guaranteed by Article 370 had been eroded in practice. Hence, there is no greater state autonomy, so they want great state autonomy. Okay, so that is the second grievance which they have. And thirdly, it was felt that the democracy which is practiced in the rest of India has not been similarly institutionalized in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. So these are the three grievances which the Kashmiris have from within Jammu and Kashmir. Let us see about the politics since 1948 till what is happening right now. Okay, till the Jammu and Kashmir was divided into two union territories, we are going to see now. So it's a long chapter. You need to be somewhat focused on the datas which could come for your CUT exam. First of all, 1948. So after taking over as a prime minister, who was the prime minister? You see, Sheikh Abdullah of the time. As I told you earlier, under Article 370, the head of the government of the Jammu and Kashmir was called as the prime minister earlier. So Sheikh Abdullah initiated major land reforms and other policies which benefited ordinary people. But there was a growing difference between him and the central government about his position as a Kashmir status. He was dismissed in 1953 and kept in detention for a number of years. The leadership that succeeded him did not enjoy as much popular support and was able to rule the state mainly due to the support of the center. There were serious allegations of malpractices and rigging in the various elections. During most of the period between 1953 and 74, the Congress party exercised influence on the politics of the state. A truncated national conference minus Sheikh Abdullah remained in power with the active support of the Congress for some time, but later it merged with the Congress. So basically the National Conference party was also divided. Okay, so it was in power and Congress was helping it. Thus the Congress gained direct control of the government in the state and brought about the changes which it was happening from 1953 to 74. So in the meanwhile, there were several attempts to reach an agreement between Sheikh Abdullah and the government of India. So a change in the provision of the constitution of Jammu and Kashmir was made in 1965. You see, 1965 was an important year in which a change was made where the Prime Minister of the state was designated as Chief Minister of the state. Excuse me. Accordingly, Ghulam Muhammad Sadiq of the Indian National Congress became the first Chief Minister of the state. So this can be a question for your CUT exam. Who was the first Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir? It was Ghulam Muhammad Sadiq. In 1974, Indira Gandhi reached an agreement with Sheikh Abdullah and he became the Chief Minister of the state. He reviewed the National Conference which was elected with majority in the assembly elections in 1977. So this was the first phase after it became part of India after the signing of the instrument of accession. Sheikh Abdullah died in 1982. The leadership of the National Conference went to his son. Farooq Abdullah, who became the chief minister, but he soon was dismissed by the governor and a breakthrough faction of the National Conference came to power for a brief period. So Farooq Abdullah became chief minister and then again he was dismissed by the governor, meaning it was, the president's rule. The dismissal of Farooq Abdullah's government due to its intervention of the center generated a feeling of resentment in Kashmir. So the confidence that Kashmiris had developed in the democratic processes after the accord between Indira Gandhi and Sheikh Abdullah, it was basically received a setback. So there is a tumultuous pathway, okay, what is happening in the past 70 years plus, okay, the Jammu and Kashmir and India and the regional aspirations of the Kashmir people. So it received a a setback. The feeling that the center was intervening in politics of the state was further strengthened when the National Conference in 1986 agreed to have an election alliance, electoral alliance with the Congress, the ruling party in the center. So after this, insurgency happened, and it was a very hard times for the Kashmir people as well. So it was in this environment that the 1987 assembly elections took place. The official results showed a massive victory of the National Conference, that is Congress alliance. These two parties alliance was there, and they won, and Farooq Abdullah returned as the chief minister. But it was widely believed that the results did not reflect popular choice and that the entire election was rigged. So a popular resentment had already been breathed in the state against the inefficient administration since the 1980s. So this was now augmented by the commonly prevailing feeling that the democratic process were being undermined by the state at the behest of the center. So now the people lacked, the confidence on the government which was ruling at that time. Okay, so that was a very big issue. First they came up like there was a good environment, but later slowly what happened, there was a setback and people had no faith on the National Conference and the Congress government and in their state. So this generated a political crisis in Kashmir, which became very severe with the rise of insurgency. Again, you can see in the 1990s, after 1987 elections, there was insurgency happened, militants were there, and it was supported, externally supported by Pakistan. So in 1989, there was a grip of militant movement. Basically, the support came from Pakistan. Again, the state went for president's rule and effectively under the control of armed forces. Throughout the period from 1990, Jammu Kashmir experienced extraordinary violence at the hands of the insurgents and through army action. Assembly elections in the state were held only in 1996. You can see from 1989 till 1996, almost 7-8 years, it was under insurgency and the army's control. So in which again after 7 years, you see National Conference, Farooq Abdullah came to power with a demand for regional autonomy for Jammu and Kashmir. At the end of its term, elections were held in the state in again 2002. So the elections happened in 1996 as well as in 2002. Now the National Congress failed to win a majority and was replaced by a coalition government of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, and the Congress. You see there is a change now. So a new party comes to power with a coalition with Congress. So till before 2002, okay, there was a coalition happening between National Conference and then Congress. Now the coalition is happening between People's Democratic Party and the Congress. First time in 2002. This can be a question. In which year People's Democratic Party formed a government, a coalition government in Jammu Kashmir? It was in 2002. And who was the chief minister? As per the coalition agreement, Mufti Muhammad Saeed, okay, he was the basically headed the government for 3 years, and the agreement said after 3 years Ghulam Nabi Azad will become the chief minister of the state. But president rule was imposed into July 2008, so basically there was no Ghulam Nabi Azad did not become the chief minister. We know that when president's rule is applied, what will happen? When a president rule is applied, the cabinet, the executive council basically it is dissolved, it is dismissed basically. Hence, the government is gone. So Ghulam Nabi Azad could not become the chief minister. Then the next election happens in November, December 2008. Another coalition now composed of National Conference and INC. You can see again the old coalition comes to power with Omar Abdullah become the chief minister. However, there is a state continued witness disturbances by the Hurriyat Conference. This is one organization which is related to the Kashmir. Okay, so this can be a question. Hurriyat Conference is related to which state? Punjab, Jammu Kashmir, Northeast, or any option can be there. And Hurriyat Conference is related to Kashmir, which we know. So in 2014, what happened? The state went to another election which recorded the highest voter turnouts in 25 years. So again after 1987, there was a militancy, everything was there, and the elections, participation also very low. But in 2014, the elections in which highest voter turnout came up. And now there was a government, a coalition government formed between PDP with BJP as its partner. This can be a question: in which year BJP formed a coalition government with PDP in Kashmir? It was in 2014. So, but what happened unfortunately was that Mufti Muhammad Saeed died, and his daughter Mehbooba Mufti became the chief minister of the Jammu Kashmir state. During the tenure of Mehbooba Mufti, major acts of terrorism, mounting external and internal tensions were witnessed, and finally President's rule was imposed in June 2018 when BJP withdrew its support to the Mufti government. So on 5th August 2019, what happened? Article 370 was abolished. This is very important year, 2019, when Article 370, a special provision which was given to Jammu and Kashmir, was revoked or abolished in the Parliament by the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019, and the state was constituted into two union territories, viz. Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. Today there is no one state of Jammu and Kashmir. There are two union territories where Jammu and Kashmir with a legislature and Ladakh without a legislature. These are two union territories. Time will say that whether Jammu and Kashmir will become a state or not. The process is going on now. Okay, so this year we need to know 2019, 5th August, when Article 370 was abolished. Let us go to Punjab now. So this is the second part of our today's class. So we have completed Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, from what happened in 1947, 1948 till 2014 until 2019. What is the political crisis going on? What are the developments happened? So we saw about in the 19th century, from 1948 till 2000, there is a coalition happening between National Conference and Congress. In 2002, first time there is a PDP government is formed with the Congress, and after some time again Congress and National Conference comes to power, and finally in 2014, first time BJP forms a government in Jammu and Kashmir with the PDP, and after some time again there is a president's rule went there, and in 2019 the things changed. Jammu and Kashmir Article 370 was revoked, and presently just in 2024 again the elections happened right now, which is not part of your syllabus. Again National Conference has come to power. Omar Abdullah has become the chief minister of the Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory. Now let us go to Punjab. So Punjab is another state where regional aspirations were there and so many issues happened there. So in decades of 1980s witnessed major developments in the states. See, when the story of Jammu Kashmir starts from 1948, Punjab story starts from 1980. Okay, the social composition of the state changed first with the partition and later on after the carving out of Haryana and Himachal Pradesh. So Punjab had to wait till 1966 for the creation of the Punjabi speaking state, whereas when other states can be happening, the states were there in 1950s itself. You know that 1956 reorganization of state act was there. So this is for Punjab, it had to wait till 1966 for a Punjabi state. There was a political party Akali Dal which was formed in 1920. It is basically, it wanted to have a separate Punjabi state. Okay, it led to the movement for the formation of a Punjabi Suba. So the Sikhs were now a majority in the truncated state of Punjab, which was made in 1966. What is the political context of Punjab? After the reorganization, the Akalis came to power in 1967 and then in 1977 as well. On both the occasions, it was a coalition government. The Akalis discovered that despite redrawing of the boundaries, their political position remained precarious. So firstly, their government was dismissed by the center midway through its term. Secondly, they did not enjoy strong support among the Hindus. Thirdly, the Sikh community, like all other regional religious communities, were internally differentiated on caste and class lines. So the Congress got more support among the Dalits, whether Hindu or Sikh, than the Akalis. So the Akalis had a issue here. Okay, so the Dalits basically they supported the Congress there. So it was in this context that during the 1970s, a section of Akalis began to demand political autonomy. So you know that the Akali Dal was a very old party, but what happens in 1970s is a different thing. So section of the Akalis demand more political autonomy, and there was a resolution passed in Anandapur Sahib in 1973, which wanted to redefine center-state relationship. This is very important, which related to center-state relationship in India. And finally, there was a Sarkaria Commission also formed. You see, Akali Dal, the section, they wanted to have a redefined center-state relationship. And aspirations, the resolution also spoke about aspirations of Sikh Qaum, a community or nation, and they declared its goal as attaining the Bolbala, okay, or a dominance, Bolbala of the Sikhs. This was also part of their resolution at Anandapur Sahib. So this can be a question for your CUT. In which year Anandapur Sahib a resolution took place? It is in 1973. Or which resolution spoke about redefining center-state relationship? The answer is Anandapur Sahib. So the resolution was a plea for strengthening federalism in India. So the resolution has a limited appeal among the Sikh masses. A few years later, after the Akali Dal government had been dismissed in 1980, the Akali Dal launched a movement on the question of distribution of water between Punjab and its neighboring states. This was another issue for them, and a section of the religious leaders raised the question of autonomous Sikh identity was also part of it. Cycle of violence took place in Sikh, basically in the community in Punjab. Soon the leadership of the movement passed from the moderate Akalis to the extremist elements. So this was the change which happened, okay, and took the form of armed insurgency. They made the Golden Temple at Amritsar as their headquarters, Sikh holy shrine. In 1984 June, the government of India carried out Operation Blue Star, code name for army action in the Golden Temple. So to remove these people who were violent, so the government of India, they had this Operation Blue Star. This can be a question for your CUT. What was the operation which took place in the Golden Temple? Okay, it was Operation Blue Star. In which year? 1984 June. So the government could successfully flush out the militants from there. There was casualties also from army side, as well as the militants were also shot dead. And then what happened was, but it basically saw the military operation, the Sikh community saw the military operation as an attack on their faith, because it was their holy site, and they gave further impetus to military and extremist elements. Then what followed was a big shock. Basically, what happened? So, followed by in the same year, okay, this Operation Blue Stars happened in June. Indira Gandhi was assassinated after a few months, 31st October 1984, outside her residence by her bodyguards. All the bodyguards, basically, they were Sikh, and they wanted to take the revenge for the Operation Blue Star. That's how Indira Gandhi was assassinated. So violence broke out against the Sikh community. Okay, it continued for almost a week. So that was a very black era. Times for a very difficult time for the Sikh community in India, especially in Delhi. More than 2,000 Sikhs were killed in the national capital. Hundreds of Sikhs were also killed especially in the places called Kanpur, Bokaro, Chas, Many Sikh families lost their male members, especially emotional, and they lost, basically there was a emotional and financial loss for the Sikhs all over India. So what hurt the Sikhs most was the government took a long time in restoring normalcy, and that the perpetrators of this violence were not effectively punished. 20 years later, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, he expressed regret over these killings and apologized to the nation for the anti-Sikh violence. So anti-Sikh violence, it happened in also 1984. Indira Gandhi's, after the assassination of Indira Gandhi by her Sikh bodyguards. So we need to know the year as well. So what is the road to peace? After coming to power following the election in 1984, the new Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi initiated a dialogue with moderate Akali leaders. In July 1985, he reached an agreement with Harchand Singh Longowal. So this is very important for Punjab. Rajiv Gandhi Longowal Accord. Rajiv Gandhi Longowal Accord, it is also called as Punjab Accord, was a step towards bringing normalcy to Punjab. This can be a question for your CUET. Okay, who was the Prime Minister? Rajiv Gandhi. And who was the leader there? On the other side, Akali leader was Harchand Singh Longowal, which is also called as Punjab Accord. So it was agreed that Chandigarh would be transferred to Punjab. A separation commission would be, separate commission will be appointed to resolve the border dispute between Punjab and Haryana, and the tribunal will be set up to decide the sharing of river water bias among Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. So these were the issues, and it said these issues will be solved. So this was Punjab Accord. Okay, first it spoke about Chandigarh, and then it said about that border disputes will be solved. Again, Ravi BS river water sharing will also take place. The agreement also provided for compensation and also for better treatment of those affected by the militancy in Punjab, and withdrawal of the application of AFSPA in Punjab. But peace did not come easily or immediately. The cycle of violence continued nearly for a decade in Punjab. Militancy and counter-insurgency violence were there, and it led to the fragmentation of Akali Dal. The central government had to impose president's rule in the state, and again the political process was suspended. It was not easy to restore political process in Punjab in the atmosphere of the suspicion and violence. When elections were held in Punjab in 1992, only 24% of the electors turned out. That was a very huge setback. Only 24% came to vote in 1992. Militancy was eventually eradicated by the security forces, but the losses incurred by the people of Punjab, both Sikhs and Hindus alike, was enormous. Peace returned to Punjab only in the middle of 1990s when Akali Dal Badal and BJP scored a major victory in 1997 elections. The state is once again preoccupied with the questions of economic development and social change. Through religious identities, though religious identities continue to be important for the people, politics has gradually moved back along secular lines. So this is the end of the the content of Punjab. So we have seen the Operation Blue Star and what happened and what are the elections which took place and the Punjab Accord. So these are very important topics for your CUET UG Political Science. Thank you for watching. We will come up with the next remaining part, which is Northeast part and the Tamil Nadu movement, Dravidian movement, in the next class. Thank you very much.